Today on Aging Untold, when a loved one is diagnosed with dementia, the questions may seem endless as you search for answers.
So clarity is what type? Is this Alzheimer's? Is this vascular? Is it Lewy body?
We'll lay out the first crucial steps and how to build a caregiving plan you can follow. Plus, when your best health plan may not be in a pill bottle.
Breathing techniques, movement, huge, so important.
We're going beyond the prescription pad and looking at holistic ways to build strength and wellness. Then later, using harmony to heal.
Something in the way she moves.
How a barbershop quartet inspired each other to keep making music as a member faced a health crisis. Experts with advice and solutions. You're watching Aging Untold with Aging Well Coach Catherine Ambrose, gerontologist Sam Craddock, aging expert Amy O'Rourke, and board-certified physician Dr. Ray Rogers. We're all getting older. It's about time we talked about it.
Welcome to Aging Untold. A dementia diagnosis can be overwhelming because the questions start immediately. What happens next? What's normal? And what can be done right now? Today, we're focusing on guidance for both the person diagnosed and the caregiver. Dr. Ray, what should patients and caregivers do first, medically, and who should be on that care team?
Well, I think hopefully you know what you were looking for in terms of making a diagnosis. You came in with symptoms or concerns. So the first thing I would, number one want is hopefully you brought somebody with you, another set of ears. All right. Mm-hmm. And then once this discussion takes place and you say you have dementia or so, it's not the end of the story. It signals the beginning of a plan. Mm-hmm. All right. And that's why you need the other ears around you. So we're going to all hear different things to put this plan together. Mm-hmm. You want to establish clarity first. So clarity is what type? Is this Alzheimer's? Is this vascular? Is it Lewy body? Mm-hmm. Is it frontal temporal? They all have different ways of management, and they're gonna go down a different road. Mm-hmm. So you want to recognize that. But you want to make sure that you're looking out for reversible things first. Mm-hmm. Okay, so different things like vitamin deficiencies or hypothyroid, anything that's metabolic that can be reversed, you want to identify that first. Mm-hmm. And then you want to build your team. So what is this team going to look like? It's going to look like your primary care doctor, maybe your geriatrics doctor, neurologist, physical therapy, occupational therapy, even a nutritionist, mm-hmm. because a lot of the different things that control inflammation and neuroinflammation mm-hmm. comes from nutrition. Mm-hmm. And the other thing I would do is get cognitive baseline testing, because I want to see where I am right now and where I'm going to go. Good. Those would be some of the first things I would start with.
I also think a dementia care educator is so valuable for the family mm-hmm. to help advise the family, prepare the family, and be there as a resource and an advocate along the way.
I think the minute you start looking around in your community, you'll find there's support groups for all types of dementia. I would go there. There's good books on dementia. I would get those books. There's professions out there, dementia educator one, gerontologist is another, aging life care management is another. So you can pull from resources. There's a lot of community talks. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And lots of people are doing community talks. Go and then start gathering information to see who else needs to be on your team. Right. And then look at the money. This is a potentially very expensive diagnosis. And so look at your money and look at the potential trajectory of the diagnosis. Now, some people say, how long is this going to last? And you can quote statistics. You can say, average expectancy is 8 years. But what I like to look at is just get educated on the stages, mild, moderate, severe, and don't try to set a date, because that adds pressure and stress.
Yeah. So I'm going to say the first thing, because I've sat in the room with a loved one and gotten this diagnosis. And the very first thing you do, breathe. Mm. Literally just breathe. And you have to realize that a progressive dementia, now there are some that are treatable. A diagnosis of dementia doesn't mean that I have a progressive, but let's just say we have the progressive dementia that's a disease progression. Mm-hmm. So you have to realize that this is not a cliff that you're going to fall off of.
Yeah.
They call Alzheimer's the long goodbye for a reason.
Yeah.
And it's because there is a very long length of time depending on how early we diagnosed. And so don't get so hyped up in the fact that there's been this diagnosis that everything has to change immediately.
Right.
Talk, plan, build memories. And that was our decision, was we're going to make memories while we can. And she may not remember, but grandchildren will, loved ones will, the other people in your life will remember that time and do those things early on. Okay, we all have a bucket list. Go work on it. A lot of us have these things I would love to do. Work on it. Don't stop living because a diagnosis came into your life. Educate yourself. Our home's fortunate. That is my field of study, is cognitive impairments. And so educate yourself and learn. Our diagnosis came very early because of my education. But if you're in a stage where maybe you're past that mild because there is some hiding, then learn all you can. Find a support system, absolutely. And realize that everything you hear isn't what everyone goes through.
Right.
You've said it, it's true. You see one person with dementia, you've seen one person.
Yeah.
Because it presents differently for every single person.
And don't hesitate to get a second opinion.
Yeah.
Second opinions are very, very valuable. And you'd be really surprised to see how many helpful foundations and organizations there are for every type of dementia.
Still to come, we'll break down the benefit of a simple skincare routine and how you can maintain a radiant complexion without dozens of pricey products. But first, from strength training to food as medicine.
I like the idea of the completeness of it instead of just throwing a pill at it.
We're breaking down how a more holistic approach could support your mind, body, and spirit at any age.
Welcome back. From movement to nutrition and even your mindset, some answers to feeling stronger and healthier may not come in a pill bottle alone. Dr. Ray, when people hear holistic medicine, what does it actually mean, and where's a smart place to start?
Well, holistic means pertaining to the whole person. So you're treating the whole body, not just the symptoms or the diagnosis. So basically you're not treating what you have. You have high blood pressure, so let's give you this pill. Holistic means you're trying to look to find out the why. So we always talk about find your why of what's going on, because there is a reason, and that's what we're working back from. So you're looking at the body, the mind, the lifestyle, the environment, and a lot of times 80% of the foundation are really the big four core, the four pillars are basically nutrition and movement and stress and sleep. You can conquer 80% with that. So that's usually where we're starting from, and we're just kind of being detectives. We're being detectives and going back and see where did the cell go wrong, so that it's not alternative medicine, it's complete medicine.
I like the idea of the completeness of it instead of just throwing a pill at it and saying, here, why do you have high blood pressure? Is it the stress? And what can you do to mitigate that?
When I think about stress, I think about don't worry. And then I think about what do I do to lower my stress? And I think I try to deal with reality as it's given to me. I try to start my day with how I can serve others, where am I going, trying to do some selfless acts throughout the day. And then what I've seen other people do is they look at things they've been avoiding. Like, what am I putting off? And saying, okay, maybe I'm not looking at my finances. Maybe I look at that pile in the garage. Maybe it's I haven't reached out to my mother, or whatever those things are that are kind of niggling at you. Get in there and do those things.
Stress is a big deal, and I think we tend to minimize it. You know, people tend to say, oh, well, I know you're under stress, but stress is huge. The physiologic consequences on the body are huge. So it probably needs to be, outside of nutrition, one of the biggest things to try to tackle, because it's one of the hardest things.
Yeah, and I hope people are hearing that, because I'm just learning more and more through the interviews and through study, nutrition, sleep, stress, breathing
Movement.
techniques, movement, huge, so important. And I think that there's a lot of older adults that weren't encouraged enough to do exercise or still haven't made the huge connection on building muscle and how important that is. But even deep breathing, full breathing, yoga, Pilates, Tai Chi, just learning how to take stress away from your life. Maybe you change a job, you change what you do during the day. Like you might make some major changes that could make big differences.
I think the holistic approach, the whole body, and having a doctor in functional med or holistic med that comes back in. This generation had the general practitioners. This generation's the one that had the general pracs that knew from head to toe. And now we've specialized, and now there's that trend in going, wait a minute, we are a whole human.
Red roses too.
Still to come, a health crisis suddenly throws a barbershop quartet off key.
He was slurring his words, and I thought, oh, this isn't good for a singing group.
How they regained their harmony and helped a member to heal. But first, caring for your complexion.
What's the minimum requirement to just have healthy skin?
We have insight into ways to simplify your skincare routine and the ingredients that doctors say get results. Find more Aging Untold content on your favorite social platform. You can follow Aging Untold on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok now.
If you check out skincare regimens on social media, you'll likely find posts about the benefits of multi-step skincare plans. It seems the more you do to your skin, the better and younger you'll look. But a Mayo Clinic dermatologist says that is a myth. In this medical mythbuster, reporter Viv Williams explains a simple, healthy, and effective skincare routine.
Whether you want to smooth wrinkles, brighten your skin, or protect your face from the sun, the number of steps in some skincare regimens can be daunting and time-consuming. Do you really need 5, 6, or 7 steps in a skin regimen to get results? Dr. Sarana Wiles, a Mayo Clinic dermatologist, says some people really like a multi-step approach, but others ask,
What's the minimum requirement to just have healthy skin as we get older and as we're exposed to different environmental toxins?
Her answer is 3 simple steps. Start with a good cleanser that's unscented and fragrance-free.
A lot of times, fragrances in soap can be aggravating to the skin.
The second step is a vitamin C to be applied in the morning after cleansing.
Vitamin C does 2 great things for your skin. Number 1 is that it's an antioxidant. So what does that mean? It fights the stress that we encounter from daily pollution, stresses, environmental toxin, UV radiation. The second thing that vitamin C does is an ingredient that you use to make collagen. So when we're thinking about synthesizing collagen and creating new collagen for the skin, we want to give it the right ingredients.
Wiles says to look at labels and buy a vitamin C product that contains the active ingredient THD, which stands for tetrahexydecyl ascorbate. She says this form of vitamin C will last longer than products made with L-ascorbic acid. But she adds that even the THD variety oxidizes or goes bad fast, so buy it in small quantities that last 4 to 6 months.
You don't need to go to a very high price point, like above $100, to have a good vitamin C. There are a lot of great vitamin Cs that are priced at $20 or around that range that could still have a great effect. The step 3 is going to be a good sunscreen.
Wiles suggests using a moisturizer that contains sunscreen with an SPF of at least 30. Apply in the morning after the vitamin C and then reapply at midday.
How can I reapply? I already have makeup on and it's in the middle of the day. I don't want to be applying a goopy moisturizing lotion on top of my makeup. They actually have products that are sunscreen brushes or sunscreen spray-ons that you can put on over makeup.
Her PM plan is even easier with 2 steps: cleanse and then apply a moisturizer.
At night, you do want to, after you cleanse your skin with a gentle cleanser, you want to add a moisturizer with ceramides. And it's really key to have that ingredient ceramides in there, because those are like the little building blocks that keep our skin intact and to keep the moisture locked in.
Well, there's what's evolving right now is a new area called functional skincare therapists. And I think a lot of people are not aware of that, and they work together with functional medicine doctors because they can identify what's happening on your skin and what organ it's coming from. I mean, we have it in Kansas City, Missouri. So I think people need to just start looking out for that because they're not aware of that. I think people know dermatologists, you know, just like people go to the spas for aesthetics and all that, but there's a specific type that can actually help you identify why your skin is doing what it's doing based off of what's going on in your body.
Incredible. Wow. What I liked about this is the simplification of it. I'm lazy, essentially, so I don't want to work that hard to have great skin. I'd like to have really great skin without a lot of work. So that simplified way appealed to me.
Yeah, I saw this thing on social media. You use sandpaper and motor oil and a little Vaseline, and it all comes out, and you look like you're 20.
I'm looking at your skin going, where'd that go?
You gotta keep up on how things change, because like she said, you use this moisturizer with the sunscreen and all that, and that's what they used to teach you as a cocktail, but now they've gotten away from that cocktail because they've got interfering layering and all that. They keep talking about the shelf life on this,
I found that
and all that different stuff.
Yeah.
So sometimes these things can be inflammatory. They end up doing the opposite.
I know, and still you hear so much about sunscreen, and I'm to the point where I'm a little confused because I hear other things. So it's just all really interesting to stay abreast of what's going on and hear different sides.
After the break, finding strength in song.
Daddy sang bass.
Mama sang tenor.
Me and little brother was joined right in there.
It's better than any drug.
How a barbershop quartet discovered the true meaning behind their name after a stroke threatened to silence their singing.
About 2 hours west of Green Bay, Wisconsin, a barbershop quartet believes their music can help heal the soul. And when this group faced a major setback, the music nearly stopped. Dale Ryman shows us how they inspired each other to keep singing.
It's a ton of fun to sing with these guys.
What's not to love about a barbershop quartet?
Something in the way she moves.
When done right, it can send you to a happy place.
It's better than any drug.
This Stevens Point team has Patty Bourgeois at tenor, Joe Larson is the lead. On bass, there's Dennis Stefani. And Joel Bourgeois completes the sound with baritone. Together, they call themselves Alternative Medicine.
We want folks to feel the music and feel better having heard it.
Joel has been barbershopping since he was 14.
Red roses too.
I would notice that my dad came home from barbershop practice in a better mood, and I wanted me some of that.
Years down the line, he met wife Patty at a barbershop competition.
Mama sang tenor.
We met because of barbershop. That's just always been a thing that we share.
They moved from Texas to Point 3 years ago. Anxious to sing once again, Joel and Patty went on the recruiting trail.
This is the finest quartet I've ever been able to sing with.
I was nervous, about singing in public. I mean, besides outside of a choir where you're with many people.
By and by.
Dennis got over his stage fright, and the group took off, singing in variety shows, at sporting events, and nursing homes. That harmony stopped.
I'm still improving slowly day by day.
He didn't know it in the moment, but a stroke sent Joe to the hospital for 5 days.
My stroke took away my dexterity in my right hand. My handwriting went to pot, and piano playing was out the window.
For the most part, it seemed okay, but he was slurring his words, and I thought, oh, this isn't good for a singing group.
I was thinking, well, the voice is fine, but the word, like that.
We were going to ride this train with him as far as it would go.
That train ride would take him through several weeks of speech and physical rehab, leaving the Portage County Healthcare Center the only way they know how.
California trip now.
They told me I should expect to get 98% back. So I'm over 90, I think.
The group is back to performing, bringing people with them to their happy place.
What a wonderful world.
Great therapy for him with his recovery and true friendship. And I just think it's beautiful, and they've got to be just uplifting people all over their area going and singing.
I think his singing beforehand and stimulation and integration of all the different centers of the brain probably helped him with that stroke, and it helped his recovery to go back quicker.
Helped that brain
so true. And then because he wasn't isolated and they heard him sing, they could pick up and motivate him to get some help.
Yeah. And the brain, it takes so much in the wiring for the singing itself and the harmonies and just being able to hear the other people and stay in. So that had already trained his brain. So it was in a miraculous recovery to think that he has a little bit of paralysis in his right hand, but his speech, and he was so lucky, because so many people do lose so much of their speech in a stroke. So
and he was so funny poking fun at himself. I just thought he's treated it so lightly. And you know,
I love the name of the group, Alternative Medicine. There you go.
Great story. We're all getting older, and it's about time we talked about it. Until next time on Aging Untold.
On the next Aging Untold, shifting into a more intentional life.
Well, I think the body is not just aging. The brain is really reprioritizing what truly matters.
We'll take a look at why your 70s can bring a deeper sense of purpose and meaning, and how to make the most of that season.